Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Jenny Halpin, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Captain Michelle de Friskbaum. This evening, we are honoured to acknowledge veteran Mr. Trevor Scott, who served in the Royal Australian Air Force during the Second World War. Sir, we thank you for your service. We also warmly welcome members of the Inverloch RSL Club sub-branch who are in attendance and personnel representing the Australian Army Rugby Union men's and women's teams. As always, we welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We warmly welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial and students on behalf of Listerfield Primary School visiting from Listerfield, Victoria. Now, if you are able, could I please invite you to stand and join in singing the national anthem. Students and visitors who require a seat, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozieres, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private Percy Esric Ambrose Ward. Percy Ward was born in December 1895 in Milton, New South Wales, the second of 5 children born to Patrick Joseph Ward and Amelia Jane Nee Jones. The family moved to Bangalore, where Ward and his siblings were still young. Little is known of his early life, but by the time the First World War began, Ward was working as a farmer at Bangalore in northern New South Wales. On the 16th of June 1915, he travelled to Brisbane, where he enlisted for service in the Australian Imperial Force. After some initial training, he was allotted to the 3rd Reinforcements to the 26th Battalion. He embarked from Brisbane with other reinforcements aboard the transport ship Kiara on the 16th of August 1915, bound for Egypt. After a brief period of training in the desert, Ward was sent to Lemnos in preparation for joining his battalion on Gallipoli. The only blemish on his record occurred on the morning of the 30th of November, when he was absent from morning parade. He was fined 1 day's pay and confined to barracks for a day. Ward arrived on Gallipoli on the 9th of December and was taken on strength of the 26th Battalion, which had just left Russell's Top and was in reserve positions in Malone Gully. At this time, planning for the evacuation of Gallipoli Peninsula was in full swing, so Ward's introduction to the war came to an end 3 days later, when the battalion was withdrawn from Gallipoli and sent to Lemnos. After spending the rest of December at Madras, the battalion returned to Egypt on the 9th of January 1916. 2 of Percy's brothers, Jack and George, arrived in Egypt in February and March. Jack had been evacuated sick from Gallipoli in October and had spent months recovering in Malta. George had arrived from Australia with a draft of reinforcements. Though Jack and George certainly were able to meet, it is unknown whether Percy was able to see his brothers. Percy left for France with the 26th Battalion in mid-March. After arriving at Marseille, the battalion entrained for Morbec in northern France. The battalion entered the front line for the first time on the 12th of April near Armentières and spent the 2 weeks in the front line. On the 28th of April, Ward was struck in the head by a shrapnel from a German shell. He was evacuated to the 7th Australian Field Ambulance, then on to number 8 Casualty Clearing Station at Bailleul, where he died from his wounds later that day. He was laid to rest in the Bailleul Communal Cemetery Extension. He was 20 years old. His older brother Jack also did not survive the war. He was captured during the Battle of Romani in August 1916 and died of pneumonia at Ankara. He was 23 years old. Ward's other brother George returned to Australia in 1919. Percy Ward's name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, amongst almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Percy Esric Ambrose Ward, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozieres or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of our director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.